that alone don't count. Without the sweat and toil of mine, it wouldn't be worth or die. You got to live and give, share and care, put some love in.
The Vortex is a large warehouse in downtown Los Angeles, just east of the city. 20,000 square feet. We have a 400-person event space, which features stage, lights, PA, webcasting, podcasting, editing and production facilities, offices, promotional services, all towards the end of promoting and executing low-cost fundraising events for nonprofits and other community organizations that need a helping hand. What is considered success is an organization that we support walking away with an improved situation financially and as far as consciousness goes. The idea being to water across the spectrum of the grassroots.
This is just a petri dish for people to come in and plant whatever they will. My personal view is to try to put as few boundaries on it as possible, with a thrust towards moving society into a positive direction.
I don't think we need more places to communicate, but we do need a lot more places to commune.
The Vortex creates a great exposure platform for people to really write their lives and come together in a creative, conscious environment.
The thing is to keep people grounded. Have some traditional music, have something that bespeaks something of a long-time communal experience.
There's all kinds of art taking place. Just people coming together is in itself an art.
I remember I was at a gathering in Malibu at Satellite Park, hosted by the inimitable Geza X. It seemed like the theme of the evening was, wow, you know that person, or some kind of cosmic connection being found between everyone that was there. I remember Geza saying, you know, it's time for everyone to stop talking about how cool this is, that we're all on the same page, and start working.
Well, I've been a participant observer in a lot of cultural underground scenes since the 60s. Somehow I survived, became part of the early 70s when punk rock was hitting. Somehow I survived, became part of this thing. I'm all fired up to go because I see the trends moving towards Los Angeles as a center of international information exchange.
The fact that this is called a vortex and it is sort of a blank canvas to create anything that you want is wonderful.
And if you have a place where people are saying, we want free expression, we want you to come in here and do that, I mean, that's really rare.
When everybody's in touch with their creativity, they're shining the brightest.
To be able to be a part of a group, a part of other people who want the very same thing that you want and do need.
I'm really excited about the Vortex because for me, when I start to plan an event and it's just a possibility, the thing that makes it real is the venue.
There seems to be a reawakening of a certain consciousness, largely connected to the 60s in people's mind, having to do with demand for change, a demand for progress. That kind of fun and social impact is what we're trying to emulate here at the Vortex in Los Angeles. There are times in contemporary American history where this was certainly the case. The Ash Grove in LA, for instance.
We were in a position of putting on the best of black and the best of white country culture right from the beginning. At UCLA, I was sitting in the school library. There were a group of people talking about putting on Pete Seeger. Well, turns out the university didn't want to put on Pete Seeger. He was on the blacklist. So a major struggle ensued. Before I knew it, I was a spokesperson for this group of people. I became Pete's concert producer in this area. The Kingston Trio had come out with Hang Down Your Head, Tom Dooley, and the Unicorn was there. So there was all this stuff and all these possibilities. And clearly I had the ear of the community. So we opened on July 11th, 1958. The only managers that I ever really worked with were those people who looked at me sort of as a nephew, somebody that they could pass the torch to. So, of course, Arlo Guthrie did his first performance on the West Coast at the Ash Grove. I met Bob Dylan in 1962 in New York. He auditioned for me. I thought Bob was very talented, and I really wanted to have him. And he really wanted to come to the Ashgrove. He had all the posters. So a week before he's supposed to show up, or 2 weeks before, he calls me up. He says, Ed, he says, listen, he says, I'm going to come to the Ashgrove. I just had an offer to make a record with John Hammond. What do you think? I said, make the record, don't be an idiot. You'll come later. So a year and a half later, I put on Bob as opening act to Joan Baez at the Hollywood Bowl, and we sold it out. It was important to hear the real music coming from the people that were singing on behalf of their culture. John Lomax Jr. brought Lightning Hopkins to the West Coast, and he played the Ashgrove, and I'll never forget it. Brownie McGhee and Sonny Terry were terrific, and I had Big Joe Williams, I had a couple of other people. But Lightning brought in a whole bunch of people that were more, younger. He announced the importance of traditional blues, and very quickly after that, Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs, and that opened a floodgate. And at the same time, I in no way dismissed the culture that was growing through the 60s itself. So that enabled me to go forward with this huge list of artists. It's staggering. Just look at the Bees.
Keep on learning.
And out of that came a great deal of creative music, thought, poetry, speculation, conversation. When you go back and read the history and see who was influenced and how they were influenced at that time and place, very important.
For me, that always was the art of keeping people together, the art as expressed by great musicians that I had access to, of how to balance that.
We used to use the word Bauhaus, just coming together and teaching each other and showing each other what the feeling process is helping to develop in character and in activity and in work and in training and in teaching.
And you're creating a new reality which enables the development of new relationships and awarenesses.
Sometimes just generating a little fun, connecting with people, is a great way to make the world a better place.
I think it's fantastic. I think it'll be very successful. Once people come into it and experience it, they'll want to come back.
Go by way that I feel when I walk into some place, and when I walked into the place it was like instant excitement.
Do with it what you envision, and with that comes, I mean, just limitless possibilities, and attracts the people that think big and out of the box.
That starts to echo out, and it starts to have a ripple effect into the world.
When I went to Alcoholics Anonymous in 1984, about 10 different people came up to me and told me that not only were they customers, but they got their first drink at the Ashgrove, and every one of them said that they got in for nothing. That really pissed me off.
I believe we are here to love each other and do our best by each other. My father was very passionate about doing what he could to help others. And he had a very simple rule, which is we're all in this together. I believe it very strongly, and I believe that a high tide floats all ships. To address the less fortunate and strengthen and empower them empowers the whole society.
Cameron called me up and said something to the effect of, if you had a bunch of money to do with whatever you wanted to do, what would you do? And I go, I don't know. And he goes, well, think about it, and he hung up on me.
My circumstances changed. I came into some dough that I was not expecting. My focus immediately went towards what can I do to help facilitate music and community.
We just started talking and about what we would like to do together. That was something that would be fun, something that fed both of our creativity and our souls, and offered something out to society. This is kind of what we came up with.